The best CEOs in the world, they actually work for me. What's going on, guys? Welcome back to another episode of Financial Freedom Fastlane. The quicker you get to your dream life, the longer you get to enjoy it. And I'm your host, George Achampong. What I wanted to do is take this episode to give you 5 principles of prosperity. So let's get started. The first principle of prosperity that I want to give you is that wealth is made through concentration, but it is preserved through diversification. Sometimes people think they need to have 7 different hustles, 7 different jobs, be good at 7 different things. More realistically, instead of creating 7 different streams, initially what you do is you create a waterfall. And what I mean by that is you create one thing that produces most of your active income, and then you take, right, the profits from that to buy income and create other revenue streams. That is the true way to 7 streams of income, not working 7 different hustles. So if you want to truly build wealth at the greatest scale, remember the wealth is made through concentration and it's preserved through diversification. All right, prosperity principle number 2. Rich people do the right things. Wealthy people own the right things. So when you're rich, that means you figured out how to make money. You figured out how to have a high income skill set and earn a great living. That's amazing. But when you want to make the shift from rich to wealth, you have to start focusing on ownership, right? How can you own assets that can produce cash flow, appreciate in value? Because if you own the asset, then you don't have to do anything for it. Like what I always like to say in the stock market is the best CEOs in the world, they actually work for me. Why do they work for me? Because I buy shares of their company, i.e. equity ownership, and that the value of those shares continue to grow as they do their job well, right? Them and of course all the other employees that work in the company. And so I don't have to report to Tim Cook. I don't have to work for Apple, but I own Apple stock, and Apple stock makes me a great deal of profit. All right, prosperity principle number 3. Riches is measured in money, but wealth is measured in time. So again, with riches, you figured out how to make money. You have money in the bank. You have money in your investment account. You have money to do the things that you enjoy. Great news. That's amazing. There's like, we shouldn't overlook that feat. When you're truly wealthy, you get to do what you want, when you want, with who you want, for however long you want to do it. When wealth is measured in time, you get a chance to spend time with the people that you love, spend time doing the things you love, spend time going to the places that you love. And that is a true measure of wealth, in my opinion. Prosperity principle number 4. Both successful people and unsuccessful people have a high threshold for discomfort. And so oftentimes people think about the transition from bad to good, but not the transition from good to great. What I realize is that in order to be successful, you have to be voluntarily uncomfortable, comfortable being uncomfortable. But that's required in order to reach success at the highest level. And successful people understand that. It's uncomfortable to be broke. It's uncomfortable to be severely out of shape. It's uncomfortable to log into your online bank account and realize I don't have enough money to pay my bills. It's uncomfortable to not be able to do the things that you want to do in life because you haven't made the hard choices to commit to yourself. The challenge for successful people is bringing that future pain into the present so that you're motivated to act. And I have to love the results of the outcome that I'm pursuing more than I love the comforts of what I'm able to experience in present reality. You have to be willing to give up the life you have right now for the life that you want most. As most times people focus on what they're giving up and not what they're gaining. But if you can shift the focus like, oh man, I'm doing this because I'm going to get this and that and be able to impact this, boom, boom, boom. If you change your methodology and your mindset to focusing on that, it'll make it a little, I won't say a lot, it'll make it a little easier to stay the course versus if your language and messaging is like, oh man, I got to give up pizza. I got to give up drinking. I got to give up sweets, right? That's going to sound limiting. No one wants to do that. So focus on what you're pursuing and not what you're giving up. And that is a secret because remember, both successful and unsuccessful people have a high threshold for discomfort. All right, so prosperity principle number 5. When the facts change, so do I. So many of us get caught up on what we said last year, last month, or who we used to be, that it limits us from pursuing the highest version of ourselves. It's very important that as you grow and as you evolve, you're willing to rip the Band-Aid off and make the adjustments and changes you need to step into this new version of yourself. I don't know who convinced us that changing your mind was a bad idea, but to be a truth seeker, you have to live on the edge of contradiction, right? Because you're constantly seeking truth. And as you seek deeper, you might learn something that contradicts the previous truth that you once knew. It doesn't mean that it's wrong. It just means that you evolved, you learned more. You didn't know everything there was to know about the world. And as you learn, it's like, oh, this is no longer true for my current reality, right? Because there's truth, which is absolute, and then there is what is true. The truth is that the sky is blue, right? Or technically that could be true because one day it cannot be blue. But the truth is that I was born in 1987 on April 7th. That's the truth. Like that can never change. What is true is that I live in North Carolina, right? I was born in Connecticut, but I don't still live in Connecticut, right? I live in North Carolina. That is what's true, right? So truth is relative to your current circumstances and your current reality. Truth is absolute. So you can change what's true all the time. And when you evolve, when you learn new things, when you become a better version of yourself, what's true might change, but you have to have the willingness and conviction to make that change. You can't allow your resume to have you resuming a life that you no longer want to live. Oftentimes we're afraid to change because we've always done this thing. We've always been known for this thing. And now it's hard to reimagine what a new version of ourselves looks like, right? Just based upon our resume. But here's the thing. We are beautiful and dynamic people. And as we evolve, it's okay to evolve, right? Your identity is not tied to what you've done, right? Your identity is tied to the highest version of yourself. And as that continues to evolve, so should you. And I can't wait to see you next week.